Pick a sport and double your lifespan on today's episode.
Today's episode is brought to you by Social Pilot, the social media and marketing tool for bloggers and small businesses. Join over 20,000 social media pros at servenomaster.com/socialpilot today.
Are you tired of dealing with your boss? Do you feel underpaid and underappreciated? If you want to make it online, fire your boss and start living your retirement dreams now, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Serve No Master Podcast, where you'll learn how to open new revenue streams and make money while you sleep. Presented live from a tropical island in the South Pacific by best-selling author Jonathan Green. Now, here's your host.
A few episodes ago, we talked about becoming healthy and taking responsibility for your health. As someone who owns your own business, runs your own business, and controls your schedule, you're more and more responsible for your own destiny. This is something that many of us are nervous about, we're scared of, and it's a little bit overwhelming. We talked about how you need to start by taking responsibility for your numbers, knowing what risk categories you're in and what you're doing and what right and what you're doing wrong. Just being responsible is the first step. This is not a podcast. This is not a path where I'm going to give you an entire diet or an exercise regime. This is about giving you tools to make life change easy. I don't like changes that are hard. So I'm going to share with you a few of the changes that I made in my life that were very effective. When you say to someone, you need to go on a diet, you need to lose weight, it sounds awful. It sounds like a punishment. That's why we all hate it. It's very hard to live healthy when living healthy sounds awful. And most people who pitch living healthy have a way of making it sound like an absolute nightmare. There's someone I know right now who is a type of vegan or vegetarian. I don't want to be very specific because I don't want to go too far, but they're always talking about their form of vegetarianism and how it's better than other types of being a vegetarian and how no one really understands it like they do. But it never sounds appealing. It's so interesting to me that people that want to proselytize the most always make it sound the least appealing, don't they? So I want to give you something, a set of tools and an idea that can be very exciting. And what I want you to do when you think about the idea of adding exercise to your life is remove the idea of running on a treadmill, riding an exercise bike, or going to the gym and lifting weights. If you already like those things, great. But this is for the people that hate those things. What I want you to consider, no matter where you are in life, is picking up a sport. Now, a sport is something that has a competitive element. Ideally, there are points and there's a ball involved. The only sport that doesn't really count is golf because somehow you can play golf and lose no weight and get no exercise. You don't break a sweat. Nothing happens. Any other sport, though, is really great. Ultimate frisbee, kickball, soccer, flying a kite, climbing. And I know climbing doesn't have a ball, but it's still a sporty, because it's not a gym and it's not repetitive. There's different elements. What I want you to do is think about things that could be fun and find something that's actually fun for you. I really have always struggled with my weight my entire life. I mention this throughout these podcasts because you can see what I look like, my pictures everywhere. I know that in my picture I look pretty amazing. It's just a really great angle. I haven't been at the correct weight probably for, I would say since I was 13 or 14, if I was even the right weight then, but at least that long. Maybe even longer, but definitely high school till now, I've always been overweight. And it's just been a matter of how far overweight I've been. And I would tell you my weight right now, but I haven't weighed myself in about a week. But last week when I weighed myself, I was at 108 kilos, which is a little disappointing because a few months ago I was at 103. Some things happened, I got distracted, we moved houses, and I had changed my exercise regime, but now I'm back on it. So my weight's going back down again. Because a week before that, I was at like 109. I was like, I gotta take action. So I don't know what I weigh right now, and I wish I could give you a really accurate number, but the best number I have is 108 a week ago, which is a little bit up, but considering last summer I was at 123, it's still, it's about 30, 40 pounds down from my peak when I got really scared, which was I was at 272 pounds, and now I'm in like the 230 to 240 range. I need to be under 200, I know that. The way to achieve true long-term health, beyond just weight loss, but maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which involves lowering your blood pressure and keeping your entire system operating, is to be active every day. Your body was designed for a world where we walked around everywhere, where we hunted for food, where we had to chase food down. We weren't designed to sit in office chairs and face computers all day. Whether you believe in evolution or intelligent design, completely irrelevant. Our bodies were designed to be active. They're machines, and when you don't use a machine, just like if you put your car in your front yard, if you don't turn it on for 6 months and try and turn it on, it won't turn on. Something will break down inside. Same thing with your body. If you don't use it, you lose it. Rather than tell you to go to the gym, what I'd like you to consider is following a few key steps that will change and extend your life. If you listen to me for the next 5 minutes, you could extend your life by 40, 50, 60%. Instead of being someone who dies from a heart attack in your 40s or 50s, you'd be someone that lasts in your 90s. The easiest way to find a sport is to pick a night of the week and make it your try out a new hobby night. Every week on Tuesday night, if you choose Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever night you choose, I want you to spend just 2 or 3 hours. You don't have to spend 8 hours. You don't have to spend forever. Just try a different activity every single week until you find one that you want to keep going back and doing. I don't want you to do a sport because you have to. I want you to find the one that you love. I actually love surfing. I really like kayaking, and for a long time I preferred kayaking, and then I might prefer stand-up paddling right now. But I've discovered that for me, being near the ocean makes exercising really easy because I like it. I actually like all the sports you can do in the water. They're all fun. I just surfed for about an hour. And where I live, I actually have to paddle all the way out to the waves. So it's like 30 minutes each way, and then I only spend 15 or 20 minutes surfing because I'm so exhausted getting there and getting back. But it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel hard. I don't check my watch like you do at the gym. At the gym, you're always looking to see if you've been there long enough, and the same thing with workout classes. I really enjoy it. And it's the enjoyment that's the key. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, you live by the beach. Of course it's easy. Hey, look, I moved here because I had to save my life. One of the reasons I knew I needed to move here was I was dying before. I wasn't exercising at all. So I made a big change in my life, and part of it was to come here and save my life so I would exercise more and lose weight and be able to be with my kids longer. So if you live somewhere where there's no activity you like and you need to be near the water to live longer, well then you need to set together a plan right now to be living by the ocean within the next 6 months. You could be my next door neighbor. There's nothing more important than extending your life. As much as it's important to build a business and make money, living longer is even more important than making that money. There's always a way to make it happen. So don't use my situation as an excuse. Before, we used to join another type of gym, which I forget the different names, but it's like a boot camp type gym where you go and you do stuff like high school PE and it's fun. My friend, one of the guys I went to high school with, who's a couple years older than me, started a huge one. So successful and so much fun. I used to go to a gym that was 30 minutes from my house, and I would go every single day because it was really, really fun. And I met loads of professional athletes while I was there too. So it was so much fun. You'd meet all these guys in amazing shape. And some of the best athletes in the world would hang out there because it was just really enjoyable. So don't use your location as an excuse. Wherever you live, try things until you find something that's fun. And when you find that sport you like and you want to do it, suddenly exercise doesn't become hard anymore. The only limitation right now on my exercise is that I get distracted by work. And sometimes I want to work through the entire day because I love what I'm doing. I'm doing the big transition. I talked yesterday in the previous episode. I talked about my transition to ConvertKit. I would love to spend more and more time working on that, more and more time working on my blueprints. But every day at 3, no matter what time I started working, I go outside and get in the water. That's my agreement with my girlfriend, and we always do something. That way, I get out there, I get that exercise, and I really enjoy it. That's the thing. I love being out there. I love being in the water right now. My feet are actually in the water right now. I'm sitting on the dock. You probably hear a few waves in the background, but it's not too bad. I love sitting on the dock. So instead of thinking about all the horrible things about sports, don't think about how hard it is. Don't think about how all the jocks in high school stank. Don't think about all the horrible aspects, where it's a chore, where it's a nightmare, where you're doing repetitive things. I can tell you, as someone who went to a gym where there are professional athletes, and I was probably in the worst shape of my entire group, people at a certain level, they're different. I probably have worked out with 20 or 30 professional athletes, at least, in my career, which is crazy when you think about it. And I found that even though I'm terrible, they're so nice. You never deal with that high school bully crap ever again. All the things that used to be horrible in high school, they disappear. One of the coolest things that happened, I've had a lot of great experiences in life, but I told one of my friends when I was at this old gym that I hung out with a bunch of guys that played for a professional sports team, and he was like, that's ridiculous. We walked through the mall, we saw a guy, okay, a starting player for a very high level sports team. And he goes, hey Jonathan, how are you doing? And my friend looks at me and goes, whoa, do you know who that was? And I go, obviously, because he just said my name. He couldn't believe it. One of the greatest moments of my life, as someone who's always been in terrible shape, is I was in a sit-ups competition with a guy who played for the Dolphins. Active player. He was an active player, and I beat him. Now, I'll tell you right now, he was in phenomenal shape and way better shape than me. I just happened to, as they say in that great movie, on any given Sunday, anyone could win. I think maybe luck was a big part of it. A lot of it was preparation, and I was sitting there thinking that if I can beat an NFL player in this 60 seconds of sit-ups, I'll talk about it for the rest of my life. So his motivation was, I want to do a bunch of sit-ups. My motivation was, I'll talk about this forever. To him, it was Thursday. To me, it was a story I've been waiting 5 years to tell you. The odds of him remembering this moment are zero. I'm sure he doesn't remember it. Why would he? To him, it wasn't significant, but that's okay. He gave me a high five afterwards. He knew exactly what I was doing. He might have even let me win. I don't think he did, but you never know. Who knows, right? This guy's a phenomenal athlete. I'll never be that level. I'll never even be as good as a high school football player or a high school basketball player level athlete. I'll never make varsity. But it was one of those great moments. And so if you need to join that type of gym, do it. Every city has adult sports leagues, has activities for adults that are really fun and different things. I know people that they joined an adult kickball league and they ended up meeting someone, they fell in love with each other. I met this couple that they fell in love playing adult kickball who knew it could happen. Anything is possible. There are these amazing activities out there, and the only thing between you and finding them is a Google search. There's some really cool things that I recommend trying because I think they're really good. There are certain sports that are great and you can play as you get older and older. Some sports just tear you apart. You can't play football into your 60s and 70s. It's just impossible. It's too hard on the body. But sports like swimming and tennis, people play them well into their 60s, 70s all the time. So try sports you've never thought about. Try sports you've never experienced before. Try yoga, whether you're a man or a woman. Yoga's awesome. I've been to lots of different yoga studios. It's a blast. Find something that's fun, and then it becomes easy, and it becomes a habit in your life. And especially as you're someone who is starting to work from home, you need to build a pattern where there's something healthy happening in your life and you get out of the house. I very easily could do what I do and not talk to anyone for an entire 30 days. If I just got totally in the zone on a work project, that could happen, and I wouldn't use my voice for an entire 30 days. Now that I have this podcast, that's not an option. I have to record at least every other day. I record an episode almost every day. But having sports that get me out of the house has always helped me. When I first started out working for myself and I had no one around me and I had no one to talk to, going to that activity gym, that boot camp style, PE style gym, saved my life. It gave me an entire social circle, great friends, and it really gave me some great experiences that I'll remember for the rest of my life. These little things can make a big difference. So your action step for today, after listening to this episode, is to find something in your life that you enjoy doing that's physical. Now, if you are where I was when I started out, a year ago, I was so heavy I couldn't run, I couldn't jump. So I started out with walking activities. Fortunately, even when you're fat as I was, swimming is not too hard because the water lifts most of your weight. So I'm able to do a lot of water activities. I still am not anywhere near where I want to be. As far as surfing, as far as swimming, I'm light years from the level of health I need to be. And I'm surrounded by people that are professional or one level below professional in surfing. Basically everyone who surfs and lives near where I do or comes here to visit is a high-level surfer. There's no one else here who's terrible like me, except for beginners who it's their first trip. But the people who live here and the people who come here for longer are all amazing surfers and all in amazing shape and can all swim for miles and miles. I'm not there yet, but I love what I do. It's fun and enjoyable. I also have other activities. I have a group of different things I can do so I can mix it up. Some days I surf, some days I stand up paddle, some days I get in the kayak and I bring the dog with me. Sometimes we do the kayak, me and my girlfriend, we bring my son or we bring my daughter. We're not at the level where we can bring two of them. It's always one kid or the dog. It's never a kid and a dog or two kids. I tried one kid and the dog once, lasted 8 seconds, we turned the boat right back around. It's impossible. Kids are too young and too wild. But find something you like to do. Find something that helps you exercise. In a previous and very important podcast episode, I talked about depression and how it almost took my life. I, as a young child, really suffered from it. And I can tell you that if I don't work out, if I don't do anything athletic for 3 or 4 days, depression will start to creep in on me. And maybe you can hear in my voice in this episode that I'm actually in a really good mood. I sound really happy. That's because I just exercised and was just out there surfing. And I only really caught a wave and a half. I just wasn't in the right position. The waves weren't the right waves for me today. But I'm still really happy because I got that exercise in. I released those endorphins, whatever. I've never had that thing, the runner's high. I've never run far enough to find it. But I totally understand the idea, and I totally believe in the idea that when you exercise, it pushes away whatever chemicals cause depression and brings in the chemicals that cause joy. For me, whenever I'm feeling a flicker of depression, if I do something athletic, it goes away. Even if I just hop on my exercise bike and put in 20 minutes, reading a book and riding my bike, it really helps to guard against that. So there are many, many benefits to adding a sport to your life, extending your life, taking control of your health, helping you to be social, helping you to fight against depression. And it's so much easier to do when it's something you enjoy than when it's something you dread. Instead of going to that exercise class that's a nightmare, pick up fencing or racquetball. Or if you're in England, squash. I don't know what the difference between racquetball and squash is. I've looked at both, they look the same to me. Find something that's fun for you. What's fun for me is different than what's fun for everyone else. Now, I know I do have some surfers and paddleboarders who do listen to this podcast and they email me all the time, and I love that. So if you're on the same wavelength as me, you totally get it. But whatever you find, whatever you seek out, it's going to extend your life. It's going to increase how long you get to enjoy your career. It's going to increase how much time of your life is filled with joy instead of struggling with a little bit of depression or loneliness. And at the end of the day, it's all benefit. The only reason we avoid exercise is because it's doing stuff we hate. But if it's something you enjoy, suddenly it's not that big of a deal. And later on, we'll talk about how doing these types of activities makes adding in lifting weights and other activities easier because you want to get stronger. If you really want to get great at surfing and you're having trouble standing up or doing that push-up to stand on the board, well, then you go and do yoga or lift some weights until you're strong enough and it makes you better at it. You want to get better at soccer so you can kick the ball harder, so then you go and hit the weights so you can kick the ball harder. When you're exercising for a purpose, it's not as horrible. So if you add a sport to your life, if you add an activity that you enjoy, you'll extend your lifespan, push away depression, increase your social connections, and increase your joy. And when you do find that great hobby, that really fun activity, I'd love to hear about it. So throw me an email, podcast@servenomaster.com. I do answer them.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Serve No Master. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll be back tomorrow with more tips and tactics on how to escape that rat race. Head over to servenomaster.com/podcasts now for your chance to win a free copy of Jonathan's bestseller, Serve No Master. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review of this podcast. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Serve No Master podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.